Hello guys, today we will talk about all the changes that happened to the Death Knight. Basically, what kind of changes we have gotten at the launch of Undermines, how this will affect us in PvP, so basically from PvP perspective. We will talk about the tier set a bit and about rated battleground changes and the PvP talent nerfs. First of all, let's talk about all the class changes. So, first thing what happened was Frost and Unholy. We did get a tiny nerf regarding our survivability, Veteran of the Third War. In PvP we will have 4% less stamina, before it was 10%, now it's gonna be 6%. Null Magic, who's using it? Well, it was 4% in PvP, now it's gonna be 3%, so a 1% nerf to magic damage reduction. Both of these nerfs aren't that crazy and I don't think it will have a big impact in PvP. The stamina will be felt of course, but don't worry. Regarding tier set, we will talk about it later. Now for Unholy, DK, Permafrost did get a 10% nerf, was 40%, now it's a 30% absorb shield generation from auto attacks. I wasn't even using this, it's useless in PvP and I have no idea why this did get nerfed. Then we have some visual update and we instantly call our pets. They no more slowly crawl out of the earth, so pets start earlier to make damage. I like this change. Effective for both Apocalypse and Raise Dead. Frost DK. 20% damage increase to Obliterate, 15% damage increase to Frost Strike. Rhyme now increases damage of Holding Blast by 275%, was 225%, so it's a 50% damage increase. This is great because we really need the damage now that we do not have the Remorseless Winter stun anymore. So we really need to just pump damage. Breath of Sindragosa damage increased by 10%. And the tier set, we're not gonna talk about it now, but yeah, basically it's not gonna give haste anymore, but it's gonna give mastery. And in PvP this is only 6%, or 6 seconds. For Unholy, Unholy Deathclaw damage increased by 15%, this got already nerfed immediately after by 13%, so it's a 2% damage buff. Apocalypse Gold damage increased by 25%, Magus of the Dead by 15%, and another 35% later, so in total a 50% damage buff. And Soul Reaper, 35% damage buff. The Soul Reaper buff, I don't think it will make any difference, since this activates only on low HP targets, and I think the damage will still be low, probably nobody will use it. Clawing Shadows and Scourge Strike did get a 15% damage increase. This doesn't affect Vampiric Strike, this is a really nice buff I would say. Doomed Bidding did get nerfed by 2 seconds, lasted 8 seconds, now only 6 seconds. That's the Magus of the Dead that you summon when you consume Sudden Doom. So they will last now only 6 seconds instead of 8. Gargoyle got buffed by 50%. Apocalypse Horseman's damage increased by 10%. This doesn't affect Undead and Trollbane's Icy Fury. So it looks like Blizz is giving DK pets again some power to make it viable. Still, I don't think this will be enough, but we will see once the patch launches. And last thing that was a big surprise to me is a 20% all damage increase for Blood DK. We know Deathstrike got nerfed by 35% in PvP. Well, this might actually bring Blood back for solo shuffle and arena. Of course, all tanks damage get buffed, so it will be interesting to see what's gonna happen in PvP. We will all have bigger health pools, so there will be no crazy one-shots or two-hitting people, but Blood did get a nice tier set. We will talk about it later. Lastly, Frost and Unholy did get another 5% overall damage buff. For Unholy this affects the pets as well. Now there is one more important thing I want to talk about, and that's the Battleground Blitz changes. Arati Basin and Battle of Gilneas. Outlaw rogues, you will no more be capable to capture blacksmith, gold mines or lumber mill in Arati Basin or waterworks in Battle of Gilneas before anybody else, because these flags will only be possible to get captured 4 seconds later. So basically everybody will be able to be at the flag and you must engage in PvP, otherwise nobody is gonna cap it. So no more luck for you to get fast caps. This is a great change, and honestly I think they should do something about the 4 grappling hooks as well for capping flags. in Twin Peaks or Warsong Gorge. I think that's a bit just too much crazy mobility. Now what's left is that we talk about the tier sets and PvP talents. First we're gonna talk about the PvP talents. So Frost Decay. Remorseless Winter from Pillar of Frost does 750% damage now. This got nerfed from 1000 because first they said it's gonna be 1000. Remorseless Winter talent for Stunning removed. Unholy Necrotic Wounds no more heals. And Blood Decay's Walking Dead has been removed. So in PvP it will not be that easy for Blood Decays to slow people. Now last thing that what I just want to say is this new Remorseless Winter might actually not be terrible for PvP in Battleground, but I think it's terrible that they made it being cast from Pillar of Frost. I think they should have just given this effect to the regular Pillar of Frost so that you can actually cancel this and not cancel your burst, because basically now you have to cancel Pillar of Frost to be able to move again. So that's kinda the big downside of this PvP talent, to even use it. But it's probably gonna be great in Battlegrounds where you have to defend the cart, where you have to defend the flag. You can just cast it to have this AoE damage. So in those cases, I think it's gonna be pretty powerful. Now, all we have to do is talk about the tier sets. Now, the tier sets all nerfed by 50% in PvP. For Blood Decay, we have Luck of the Draw, so sometimes we get Icebound Fortitude for 4 seconds. And it increases our damage, not by 15% in PvP, but by 7.5 probably, and this lasts for 11 seconds. The good side for is the 4 tier set, because it makes your Dead Strike cost 10 less runic power, and it can strike up to 2 additional nearby enemies. Now this means that your Dead Strike with the talent, if you have enough bone shields and if the tier set procs, Dead Strike's gonna cost 25 runic power. And with 25 you can literally cast 5 Dead Strikes in a row. It's pretty nice. As a Frost Decay, we are getting Winning Streak, so it's a buff that stacks up to 6 times. Anytime you cast Frost Strike or Glacial Advance, you have a 7% chance to remove this Winning Streak. Now with the 4 tier set, your Frost Strike and Glacial Advance has an 8% chance to cast Frost Sight at 30% effectiveness, but if you lose Winning Streak, it's gonna cast it at 100% effectiveness, and in PvP you're gonna get 6% Mastery, since it's reduced by 50% in PvP. Now Frost Sight, since it's AoE, deals 40% more damage to the first target struck. Now I assume Frost Sight effects are reduced by 50% in PvP as well. Now in Unholy Decay, we have Winning Streak as well. You have a chance to increase your Death Coil Epidemic damage by 3%, stacking up to 10 times. And casting Death Coil or Epidemic has a chance to remove the Winning Streak. If you cast Dark Transformation, it will grant you maximum stack, and it gets 100% increased effect. And it has no longer a chance to reset as long as this is active. So basically, if you cast it this way, you get a 60% damage increase. And if you just have 10 stacks without transforming your pet, you get a 30% increased damage. Now in the tooltips, I don't see this being nerfed in PvP, but since everything is nerfed by 50% in PvP, I assume both for the Unholy buff and for Frost, the Frost Sight damage is as well nerfed by 50%. We'll see once the patch launches. Well, thank you so much for watching, have a nice day, and please subscribe.
Beneath the ice and snow, a legend awakens. I am Arthas, the Lich King ruler of the damned master of Frostmourne.